Coming in Hot is presented by Betano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York and Bobby Ryan, the only winner in the Super Bowl of the three. Congrats, Bobby. I guess we owe you one.
You do not bet against Pat Mahomes, guys. I can't say it enough.
Unbelievable. I shouldn't have bet against him, but at least it was an entertaining football game.
It was. Yeah. You know what? The only thing that I hated was the way that it ended, because you just watch those 2 minutes kind of roll down and then the kick happens. But it was a really good game. Mahomes wasn't even the better quarterback. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game, and I won the football squares with Ryan Dzingel. So him and all the Chicago Wolves are buying me dinner tonight at Karn Mar. It's on them.
Very nice. A little bit of trivia, by the way. Ryan Dzingel traded to Ottawa on this date. I don't know how many years ago, but he was traded on this date.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to text him today and find out. Yeah. I will.
Yorkie, how are things? Why do I think it? Why did I even go there?
Good start.
I should. Okay, good. All right, we'll move on. Huge show today, even if Yorkie's not joining us. Lots to talk about, and it's like the Ottawa Senators are. You can't argue that they might be cursed, hey Bobby? The Edmonton game was an epic disaster where you saw Anton Forsberg go down with both MCLs gone for the season, and Jake Sanderson lost in that same game for 2 weeks with an upper body injury. That's a mess. I don't know what it's like to watch a teammate obviously come off the ice on a stretcher, but that's got to certainly be a really tough moment to go through.
Yeah, I guess I've been through it in a sense with and the very distinct differences between the MacArthur and the Leonard thing and this, right? But it's scary, and then it's so deflating for the whole group because you're worried about a buddy that's back there and you don't know exactly what's going on, and very, very tough to see, especially for him, a young goalie that's really starting to kind of come into his own. To see it go down like that it's scary. There's no other way around it. It's scary, and 2 MCLs as a goalie, man, the road back's going to be long, but you just hope that he's got good medical staff here for the next little while. So he takes advantage of that in Ottawa and then has a good summer, and you hope he's ready to go.
DJ Smith saying that he doesn't need surgery, that it's just going to be a rehab, but that's a long road to rehab. Do you remember, I don't know if you were on the ice, Chris Weidman, both groins, I think it was. Right,
hamstrings ripped off. I think.
Hamstrings.
Yeah, I think it's hamstrings. Yeah.
Yes.
I do remember that. Now that that was an ugly one, and he was in a world of pain for a little while. I feel that one completely slipped my mind, but I was there for that, and then obviously the Leonard and the MacArthur ones just was scary for a lot of different reasons. Now you're just worried about the life of the individuals going forward. But been through a few of them,
and we will get to the. We'll call it Hamburglar Run Part 2 just a moment. I will say as a teaser, Andrew Hammond is coming on the show on Thursday. I tried to get him on today, but schedules didn't work out. Ian Mendez has him in the Athletic today, which I sent him a text and I wasn't very happy with him. But he made up for it with a trivia question for us at the end of the show I have for both of you. We'll get to that in a sec. Yorkie,
for one of us.
Yeah. I was going to say, Yorkie, you let us know if you ever plan to join the show. So it's interesting, it's almost, but it's an interesting time where it was February 16th, right? Today's February 13th. So February 11th. So almost the exact same time frame. You lose your starting goalie. You've already lost your starting goalie in Cam Talbot, who's on IR. Ottawa didn't have Craig Anderson, then Robin Leonard. And so Andrew Hammond got called up for that game, or called up to be the backup to Robin Leonard, was never supposed to play. It's almost like Mads Sogaard was called up, never really expected to see much action, if at all any, until Talbot comes back. And now he's in. He will start tonight against Calgary. My guess is, and you tell me, you just go out and play at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you have nothing to lose, right? The expectations have plummeted, and that's not the fault of any player or the goalie that's got to come in. But you lose your two best goalies, you lose arguably your 1B defenseman. Yeah, and I think there's the similarities between. I remember when Andrew came in, and I remember us talking about it. And we're like, boys, we got to play tight. We just got to let's help him get started. And nobody knew he was going to catch a heater like he did. But the very thing that we didn't do was tighten up and play a different style. So I don't want to see too much of that, because I think that actually gives up bigger chances in the long run. So all that being said, it's just a shame. Like this, Mads Sogaard, the pressure is enormous because of the parallels between him and Hamburglar right now. So I hope that he's just in a clear headspace and can go out and play.
And also tough to lose Jake Sanderson, especially we've harped on this defense all year long. Thomas Chabot was, I think, -4 in that game as it was, and this is the Sanderson gets hit into the boards. That's a tough one. Just tough to lose him for 2 weeks.
It is, especially for a player that, is putting himself into contention for Rookie of the Year and things like that. But it's I've watched this from 4 different angles, and I'm like, I don't know what he hurt. It looks like an oblique or something, right?
That's what I'm wondering.
The way that he gets hit here. Yeah. Because there's nothing, I don't see anything shoulder related. The only thing I could think is that he strained the core muscle in there, which those can take a lot longer than 2 weeks. So I guess I'm really interested to see when that comes out, what this actually was, because you can see it in his face right away.
That's why, or a rib, possibly. Like
I was wondering if he hit that rib on that bench there.
Because there's right above the lip of the pant, right?
Exactly. That plays, man. When you catch the dasher board and on something like that pain is immediate and hard. So you're hoping it's just a real bad bruise in there. But I will be interested to see what this actually is when it does come out.
So your best guess, because they say it's a minimum 2 weeks. Is that more than a bruise?
Yeah, well, you know what they would always say in the medical world? It's a very deep contusion, right? You've heard that before. But I honestly, that's my guess, man. And then they say minimum 2 weeks because you just don't know how it's going to heal if it's in that core area. Because that would be painful to try and, you know how much you're using that when you're stick handling, when you're cutting, all those different things. So my guess is probably closer to 3 though. And that's pure speculation.
It's ugly. It's too bad. By the way, in tonight's game, with the lineup changes, obviously Mads Sogaard makes his NHL debut. Nikita Zaitsev in on the blue line to take, I'll say, Jake Sanderson's spot, but obviously not playing in Jake Sanderson's spot. And Austin Watson returns after missing the last 3 games, and Dylan Gambrell out of that lineup. They're trying to obviously, with Watson in the lineup, use a little bit of muscle against Calgary, because Calgary, as you know, the West Coast or Western teams always seem to play heavy.
They're bigger, they're heavier. Yeah, and I actually like the move. I think Wally brings a certain element from time to time. And I know he's a guy that's kind of taken a beating as somebody that's not a part of their long-term plans. But I do think he provides that, and I think he can give them that tonight. He'll probably be flying around pretty good after missing a few. So, I really like that move. I think that's a good move.
I just don't like the thought of him fighting Milan Lucic.
Let's hope he stays away from that. and you hope that it's Lucic saying, "Hey, it's Monday night, guys, in Ottawa. Nobody's fighting. Let's just let's take a night off.
Let's ride this one out, shall we?" But Calgary comes in, and we'll get to the lock of the day in a sec. Calgary comes in though, fighting for their playoff lives. Ottawa's coming off that miserable game against Edmonton. How do you, by the way, as a player, respond after what transpired against Edmonton? You came off after the break. You were a little sluggish, obviously expected. You lose your first game in 4. You lose your goalie. You lose your defenseman. Is there a mindset, or is it just, let's just play another game?
I think there's a mindset that comes with that. We kind of tampered expectations on the show for that first game back because it's always hard. And on top of that, you got McDavid and Draisaitl coming in. So it changes things. I think right now and this is where I think DJ is a very good coach, is that he's not letting anybody feel sorry for themselves in there today, right? And yesterday and going through all these practices and preparation. He's and this team always kind of shows up for him in those moments. I find anyway. I love their push a lot of times this year. So I think they'll have a very, very good positive push tonight.
So can you relate this to the Hamburglar run in that you guys were out of it? You were, if I have, Alex, do you have that board, the standings? I spent all day arts and crafts again. This is the the standings 8 years ago when Ottawa put in the Hamburglar compared to when Mads Sogaard is going in. Both 10 points back. I know Ottawa has fewer teams to climb over back in 2015, obviously, is a big part. But there are lots of similarities, including the dates, all that stuff. Do you like? Is this just a team that now just goes out and plays? I mean, you did lose, and by the way, they lost Clark MacArthur in that one as well, as you know, and that was another huge blow to that lineup.
It was, yeah. I veered towards more that yes, this is a team that's kind of playing out the stretch a little bit. Unfortunately, what the Burglar did that year was otherworldly. We all got to witness it. And then what's going to be lost in the fray a little bit is how Mark Stone came out and tore the league up for 20-something games and was our best player. So you're going to need 3 or 4 guys. He was okay, huh? But you're going to need 3 or 4 guys to find a way to carry the load. And it's a lot to ask of Claude Giroux at 35. You know that Brady's going to pull guys into the fight most nights, but you have to find a way to have your top 6 have to be going, and you have to be scoring 5-on-5.
So back then, I'm just curious of what the mind, like nobody knew who Andrew Hammond was, right? He had only come up. He was up and down. You would known him in training camp, but no one really knew anything about him. And now he just goes in and plays. Was there much of a conversation with him?
With Hamburglar, no, there wasn't a ton. Because it happened so fast. I think I don't know that he even got many practices before he started. No, he was right into the fray. So no, there wasn't much of a conversation. You got to carry the load for 2 seconds, Wally.
I heard the doorbell. All right.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Do you need to say
perfect? No, all good. You know what we can do right now? This show, as always, brought to you by Betano, who are probably really tired after last night. Betano, go to betano.ca. The game starts now. Download the app. Get on all the action, including tonight's Calgary game. We'll get to lock of the day later in the show. But Betano, the leader when it comes to online sports betting and online casino in Ontario. Remember to gamble responsibly. Also, BEI, Bonnechere Excavating Inc. They are the heavy civil general contractor in the Ottawa Valley. Equipment rentals, agri topsoil sales, concrete formwork, all kinds of stuff with BEI. By the way, they're hiring all kinds for spring. Check them out on their website. Go to BonnechereExcavating.com. Give them a look. Also, you can give them a shout if you want. 613-432-1120. And, of course, by our good friends at Renfrew Pro. Every show needs something to hold it together. And by God, do we use a lot of Renfrew Pro tape around here. Renfrew Pro continuously evolves its products to ensure that every roll of hockey tape optimizes performance regardless of the type of hockey stick you use. RenfrewPro.com. Also, as I remind you each and every day, Free Tape Friday for Renfrew Pro. Follow them on Instagram. They are the ones with the green core. Feel the game with Renfrew Pro. All right, welcome back, Bobby. That was perfect.
We're here. Good timing.
Man.
Yep.
Yorkie, by the way, he's left. He's taken his smoothie and he's left.
He's been frozen in that place for 20 minutes. He's out.
Why? Okay, yeah. Never. Just take him off. Okay. Claude, by the way, I'm at a dinner. I went to visit some friends in Halifax over the weekend, and I'm at a restaurant which isn't Montana, so I won't promote it. And all of a sudden, on the monitors, is you and Claude Giroux from that time you did the Gong Show shoot at Chris Phillips's farm with their outdoor rink in the summer. I was like, that's Bobby Ryan. Very bizarre to see that, which was taken 6 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, more than I would actually say. I mean, at least, yeah, because I had 3 or 4 years left on my deal before that, being out there. So yeah, that was one of my first summers in Ottawa. So maybe closer to 8, but we had a blast out there because I had never been out that way, right? And then you come off and you see this incredible rink out there. It was we had a really good day shooting that with those guys.
Yeah, with Manitic with Gong Show. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Were you and Claude tight then, or was that just like a kind of a one-day thing, or did you guys maintain any kind of relationship?
We talk from time to time. Obviously, I'm from Philly area, so there's a little bit of connection there. And then he was one of the first people that I ever met in Ottawa. A buddy of mine picked me up, Jer, at the airport, and we went right to dinner with Claude. So I hadn't even met any players, and Giroux was the first person I ate dinner with. And in Ottawa after the trade. So the way it worked out was weird. I booked flights for my wife and I, but I put us on separate flights by accident. So I got there much ahead of her and had ourselves a nice dinner.
Interesting. I didn't see that coming. Did he say back then that he wanted to play in Ottawa? Did you know this before back then?
You know what? He never said that to me. And I think it was close to when he was signing a really big extension, or it was had just signed it, or it was coming up within the next year. And he knew he was staying there, I think, at that point, because he was committed to the city. And they loved him in Philly. So I always thought he was going to ride that one out there. Yeah, it's
interesting. And it's got to be tough to leave after those, like that long. Obviously 1,000 games, as everybody remembers, but that's a tough one to leave. But he's looked great. Yeah. Right now he's on we'll call it a heater. He scored in the last 5 straight games, points in the last 6, 10 points during that 6-game point streak. By the way, his 5 straight games to score a goal ties a career high. He can break that tonight. Listen, we all had doubts, and I know we've talked about this before. He's just been really, really good for this hockey team. Hey, Yorkie.
Hey, boys. How's it going?
There he is.
Few technical difficulties here at the York Wi-Fi compound. I don't. It's like every single kid home from school right now online. And
That's
good
what I'm
luck
wondering.
Good luck getting through to Rogers. They'll be on hold for hours.
Oh, Yorkie. And Bobby answered the phone because he got a shipment for more Girl Guide cookies, I'm sure.
What?
No, I think it was a jacket. I'm hoping it's a jacket, not more. I don't need any more Samoas. I'm just getting stung by a few bees over here.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Oh, it's getting stung by the red wine.
Yeah, there you go. But I'll go back to your point there about G. Like, he's just been phenomenal. Really, really, and I don't know what. I don't think I had expectations other than the fact that he was getting older, but he scored everywhere he's been. So that you know that he's going to contribute. I don't know if we thought he would be the best player, but he might be right now a lot of nights. And that's refreshing when you got a 35-year-old guy that's you brought in for some veteran leadership, and he's taking the offensive reins too. It's a very nice bonus, I think.
So I think I mentioned this to you guys before. I was down in Florida last year when the Panthers were playing Washington in the playoffs, and I sat in the 100 levels, right? And I watched Giroux pretty closely, and I'm like, this guy he's still got it. Like, there's still lots left in the tank. So when they signed him, I'm like, that's a good move, because he's not one of those older guys that I don't think he's ever been like a really, really fast player. He just thinks so fast, but watching him in the playoffs and then coming in, so I'm not surprised to see what he's doing. He's still like his brain, guys. It is so elite. He's thinking 2-3 steps ahead of most guys before he gets the puck, and that's what allows him to still play at this level. His processor, he processes the game as good as anybody in the league right now, because he doesn't have a McDavid speed or the size of whoever, a bigger player. Like, he's smaller guy. He's not that fast, but he's still really, really elite. Why? Because his brain is elite. And that's the bottom line with Claude. Yeah. Just such a smart player.
Very true. Very true.
A couple of things I want to get to, but one just popped up in the chat, so I want to bring it up. Hippopotamus, if I actually say that correctly. Bobby, put on some old man makeup and go dominate in a beer league game for a podcast promo. New guy coming in hot.
Last time I did that, I took a beating. I went and did that thing with, I think it was like Pennzoil or something. And then everybody's like mad that I was hitting them. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of waivers signed for this one to get off, guys. So I can do, yeah. All right. If you guys find a way for me to do that, I'm in.
Bobby, did you ever play with
still got it.
Did you ever play with Selanne? Yeah. I'm not sure if I asked you this before. Did you play with Teemu?
Oh, yeah. 5-6 years, yeah.
So I played with him when he first came over to Anaheim, and he showed up for camp, I think, a week before, and we had skates. Or, when you're skating with the team, he never skated with us. We were trying to figure out what he was doing. He was skating with his beer league buddies, and that's all he was doing. Yep. Like, he wasn't doing the ramping up, and sure enough, steps on the ice for first day of camp, and he's the best player on the ice. Like he does.
Yeah.
The guy was a freak, wasn't he? Like he just I don't know how hard he trained. He was just a natural.
Man.
But the guy played beer league hockey to get in shape. That was his thing.
When I was there, he always did the summer skates with us because we had a pretty good crew by that point. But I will say, like, he never lifted, and then every game he'd go in and just put 315 pounds on the bar and squat it like it was nothing. And I'm like, I'm waiting all summer to get, that number up. And he would just walk in, and then he would take his shirt off with his six-pack, and he's like, 4 kids, guys. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you. I'm like, I'm over here in kale salad just trying to lose weight and stay in shape. But, yeah, he was an absolute freak of nature.
And an absolute beauty, too. Like, I remember when we pulled off a pretty big trade to bring him in. We had this, you'd remember Oleg Tverdovsky, Wally. Like they traded two first round picks to get him in. They traded Oleg Tverdovsky and Chad Kilger, 2 really high picks by Anaheim. And it was a blockbuster trade. But when Teemu walked in, he had this swagger and he just made us so good. We ended up missing the playoffs by a point, but man, what a guy though. Off the ice too, Bobby, like organizing stuff for the boys, nights out, just an absolute beauty.
I covered Chad Kilger playing in Montreal. But so the two of you should be able to get Teemu Selanne on the show. That is your chore. Okay, your task.
That's our chore.
Yeah,
I'll see what I can do. But my guess is I'm gonna say that he's gonna use a 4-letter word and then no. So it's gonna happen. But we'll see what I can do.
If you can do it, I won't make you read sponsor promos next week.
Oh,
okay. Actually, I won't make you ever read them again if you bring Teemu Selanne on the show.
All right, I'll get a phone call out there today.
Okay. Coming up later, I have a trivia question, but it's going to allude to Erik Brannstrom because Erik Brannstrom finally scored. Don't forget, I got to get back to Connor McDavid. I want to talk about him in a sec too, but Erik Brannstrom scored finally in 120 games in between goals. His third NHL goal. It had taken him 151 shots. A crazy amount of time. We all were like, is he ever going to score? 159 shots. Nearly 2 years apart to the day, February 25th, 2021 to February 11th, 2023. Yorkie, can you imagine taking that long to try and score? Like you would think at some point it's going to hit something.
One would think, and he's up on the play a lot too. Like he's not that he's a defensive stalwart that doesn't join the rush. The guy, he's up there. He's had some looks. He's had some opportunities. I will say this: if you're not on the power play as a defenseman, though, it's pretty tough to score in the NHL. Like you're lucky to get one or two. But I said this before: he's really miscast in the Senators on the way they're utilizing him. He's not a penalty kill guy. He's not a bottom pairing guy that's going to play well against the third and fourth line because he's too small. Like the only way this guy's going to have a good career is if he gets to a team where he can be the number 4 eventually and get on one of the power play units. Otherwise, it's going to be a very short career and he'll be in Europe in a couple of years. And I think he's a good player. He's just there's no room for what he brings to the table here. He needs to do not that he's Sam Girard, but what Sam Girard does for Colorado. Little guy, wheels around, plays in the offense, gets some power play time, and it's unfortunate because there's lots of pressure because he was traded for Stone and it is what it is. But I'd like to see him get moved. Hopefully he's a guy at the deadline that gets moved somewhere and gets a chance to play somewhere else.
I'm actually excited for his next 2 weeks here because I saw DJ's quote that he'd be getting some power play time. So it'd be interesting to see if he can raise his stock.
That'd
be a really nice thing for everybody.
Without Sanderson in the lineup.
Well, that's a great point. I forgot about that because he's out, so he's going to get looks, and I'll say he's going to start getting some more points, fellas, for sure. He's going to get some power play time, and it'll be good for him. Good for everybody.
Well, it's something to keep an eye on. When he scored his first NHL goal, he followed that up the next game with his second. So let's see if he can go back-to-back and keep that going. So here's my trivia question for you guys. We will answer it at the end of the show. Which Ottawa Senator holds the record for most shots on goal without a goal?
In the season?
No, in franchise history, what's the longest drought with shots on goal before scoring a goal? Like Brannstrom just had 159. He is not first.
Wow.
I'll give you a bit of a hint.
Am I guessing the
I would
number?
lean towards a defenseman.
Yeah. Volchenkov?
No.
I don't know the history well enough. Did I play with him?
No.
Then I'm out.
Okay.
It wouldn't be Chris Phillips. He scored from time to time. Yeah,
I think he's in the top 20.
I have no idea.
Lance Pitlick?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so all right, we'll get to it after. I will tell you who it is later in the show. Before we move on, also coming up tomorrow is, if I haven't already mentioned, I mentioned it last week. Mike McKenna is on the show, former Ottawa Senator goalie, now on Daily Faceoff. Does a lot to talk about goaltending around the league. We're bringing him back to have a chat once. He's one, because he's Bobby's former teammate, I guess, and two, we'll talk about Cam Talbot and the future of the Ottawa Senators in goal and what they should be doing. The Thatcher Demko rumors, we still say no to, but we'll discuss all that's going on with Ottawa's goaltending. So we'll do that tomorrow. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. We have a show packed for goaltending tomorrow. Actually, it's goaltending week. And before we get any further, we have a new contest from our good friends at Montana's. I want everybody to tag Bobby Ryan, by the way, in his Twitter, just to set off his mentions.
Appreciate
this
it.
is for $100. This is for $100 for Montana's. If you go in, by the way, just follow us on our Instagram and on our Twitter accounts, and you will see the contest rules there. But like the post, follow Montana's Barbecue and Coming in Hot Sens. Tag Coming in Hot and Montana's Barbecue with a photo of you and your crew at Montana's enjoying some each, which includes Monday night half-price wings. So do that with Montana's, and go to montanas.ca if you're looking for where the local closest establishment is. But do that $100 gift certificate, gift card, we will send to you. So Montana's been fantastic for us these last 3 weeks. They continue to do great work and great food, as Bobby can attest. So they have their comfort menu, all kinds of stuff. All right. Finally, not finally. Matt Karkner, by the way, is somewhere on the list, as Brian Lee is not. There's a few others. They're all coming in on the chat. Sorry. Connor McDavid loves to play against Ottawa. We discussed that before the Edmonton game. His assists look pretty good, Yorkie. As a defender, what do you do?
Well, first of all, he could have got 2 penalties on that play, by the way. He took the stick to parallel, had a nice little hook. He hooked Chabot to begin with. And then unfortunately, Chabot should have just went down, but you're not going to go down. If Chabot goes down, McDavid's getting a penalty. There's the boom. Like, is that not a cross check? Looks like a cross check.
Oh,
like,
you're
how many
so
times
soft now.
Listen, a defenseman goes into the corner right here. That's a cross check.
Well, all I know is
Right
if
here?
that's in the front of the net,
I'm in the middle.
if that's in front on a defenseman on a forward, it's a penalty.
Okay, right here.
Yeah. See, and the fact that he gets him right on that spot, Yorkie, that makes your hips just move that little tiniest bit. It just puts Chabby like directly out of sorts. It's the perfect play. And like, people are going to talk about Chabby being soft on the puck here, and I'm like, nah, not really. It was very, very well executed, excuse me, to knock a player off balance when they're mid stride like that.
Well, here's the thing.
I totally would agree. It could have been a penalty.
Like, that's a pretty. I'm not going to use the word vicious, but he's watch right here the amount of force he puts into this. Boom. So if you do that in the corner and the guy falls, you're getting a penalty. So Chabot goes off balance but doesn't fall. But if there's no cross check there, he doesn't get the puck. So I don't know, what's the definition of a cross check? Exactly this. That's a cross check.
Yep.
That's a cross check. That's what it is. Like,
Connor McDavid never gets any calls against him or for him, I guess, if you will. So he deserves this.
No, he doesn't. It's an absolute cross check. Chabot's protecting the puck, and the only reason McDavid doesn't get body position, he bends the rules right there, cross check, and then he's so. But then after that, he's so quick with his hands. Like even though he does jar, most guys aren't getting that puck. Like it's pretty crazy how fast. Boom! I'll take that.
Yeah, see ya. Yeah, hang on.
I know.
Great coverage.
It is.
Great coverage after though, huh? Like the sorry, speed wobble here. Where are you going, Pinto?
Who is that? Is that
just
Pinto?
Take the other guy back to the net. Yeah, that was more jarring. Like for me, I'm like, man, you got a guy that you're just coasting to the net with. Don't double up on the best player in the world. He's gonna make you look silly, and he did. So been there, bud.
It's yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. They always say don't try and do somebody else's job, because as soon as you go over to do somebody else's job, guess what? Your guy's open, coming over to help.
Yep.
Boy, it's just a mess.
Yep.
It's called compound mistakes. But I would have called that a penalty, because it's a cross check that leads to a scoring opportunity, but they didn't call it, probably because McDavid gets the benefit of the doubt. But you know, the other plays in that game too, because Chabot took a lot of heat in this game. It wasn't his best game, but again, hey, you're playing against the best guy in the world. He's so quick, and boy, oh boy, I'm sure he'd like a do-over on that one, but he's what are you gonna do? Everybody makes mistakes. Not a great one, and those are the worst kind when it's one-on-one and there's nobody else in the picture frame on the entire ice but you and the other guy, and he just picks your pocket. So, hey, it's a mistake. Didn't look great, but hey, it's end of the day, it's the best guy in the world doing it to you. So, but I still think it is a cross check.
If Bobby, tell me what, and I love Shane Pinto. He's one of my favorite players and people. What is he doing on that play? He comes in, but he doesn't know what he wants. Like, he doesn't know what he should do. So then he just he looks like my son. He just cross-checks him a little.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought
bumps
process
him with
was
the
there.
stick.
I'd love to, yeah. I'm going to guess that he got the old, hey, before you get to the rink tomorrow and before you go into the locker room, you're going to take just a touch of a detour to the coach's office to look at this. Because I could just picture DJ and Jack and Painter going, bud, where are you going? Because he's got the guy in his, the guy's in his hip pocket here. He's in a great position. But again, that's just a rookie mistake and something that he'll learn in time. Like what he should be doing right now is almost not even facing McDavid. Just pick up the next guy behind you. Wait for him to come into your space. And that's exactly what he didn't do. Like you said, Yorkie, about compounding. That's exactly what a compound mistake is.
There's compound interest and compound mistakes. This is one thing when defensemen come back into the zone, and centers especially, you have to come back. Whoever F1 back is, it's just a very simple thing you need to do. It's a quick little shoulder check to see if there's a second wave coming. And in that replay, at no time does Pinto just look behind him to see if there's anybody else coming. It's just here's what you're thinking. McDavid's on the ice. McDavid's on the ice. We got to get him. It's almost like your two DBs trying to double team a guy, but unfortunately, this guy's so smart. And we talked about Giroux's brain. So it's same kind of brain, but McDavid's just got the ridiculous fast twitch, whatever you want to call it, in his body that makes him do everything way faster than everybody else. So I can't even imagine having to defend against this guy. He makes it. Just remember the play, what was it, 2 years ago when he made Morgan Riley look like an absolute house league player? And Morgan Riley is a great skater, but this guy does things like this every single night. And, compared to other plays, Chabot, he looked bad, but I'm sure this won't be the last time McDavid does this to a very good defenseman.
Not at all.
Okay, so back to the Hamburglar run. Here's the question I have. Do either of you think this could possibly be the sequel? You've got two goalies that have never appeared except a few minutes in an NHL game with Mads Sogaard. You've got the backup in Kevin Mandolese, who's never been in an NHL game, just like Chris Drieger was the backup with Ottawa. He had never been in a game. Hammond goes 21-2 down the stretch. We're in the playoffs. Life is great. Is it going to just one of you say yes, please?
No. I don't want to. No, I don't want to do. I don't want to say it. But every now and again, you get to witness something really, really cool in sports, and I don't see that happening again. But that was one of the coolest rides I was on. But I don't see that happening at all.
I'm trying to remember back in that run, fellas. Were there any other major injuries? Was the team relatively healthy besides Hamburglar coming in?
No, because Clark MacArthur suffered an injury on the same play. He collided with Robin Leonard, so he was out with a concussion. I don't know if I'd have to look at the roster to see other people who are out, but that was those were major for sure.
See, the thing with the Sens that people you forget about because it's been all year is Norris has been out pretty well all year long. So this team's rolling without their number one center, and it's pretty tough to make the playoffs if you're number one, a young team, and a young team that doesn't have their number one center. Like I don't think that gets talked about enough, that this team is playing without Josh Norris, who makes whatever he makes, 7.5. He had 35 goals last year, and he's their most veteran center, and he's not in the lineup. Now you take out the goalies. Yeah. Now you take out your rookie, your Jake Sanderson, who's your best defender. Like, this team has no chance of making the playoffs. They have zero chance of making the playoffs. People need to understand that, and it's a pipe dream. If everybody was healthy right now, you have Sanderson, you have Norris. They're too banged up. They're too far out. There's too many teams between them. They're too young down the middle. Their defense isn't good enough. They're not making the playoffs. I don't care if this goalie gets hot, and it's just the cruel reality of it. But it is what it is. They lost too many games in November, and they're not catching lightning in a bottle again with one of these goalies standing on their head for the rest of the season. Guaranteed. I
can't wait to go read your mentions today.
Your negativity disgusts me.
Listen, I don't listen. I got to give Bobby props. Bobby nailed the Super Bowl. He said there's no way Mahomes is losing. He's right on, and we're both right on what we're saying right here about the Sens. And we'll eat crow if they somehow make it. But I'm doing the Tommy Boy guarantee. I'll take the butcher's word on it here.
I like that. That's good.
I will say the next night. So Andrew Hammond's first NHL start, the IR consisted of Chris Phillips, Zach Smith, Chris Neal, and Craig Anderson.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are pretty significant.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Hold on a sec. Just their best defensive defenseman's out. Their number one center's out, and both goalies. They're not making the playoffs. Just stop it.
That's it. There you go. Burn it down, Yorkie. Go for it, buddy.
Listen,
let's start talking about who they should trade.
Wow, Yorkie's a downer. About. What a bad buzz that line was. Let's see. Throw it back to Bobby. York is killing my afternoon energy.
That's what coffees are for. Go get your afternoon coffee. You'll feel better.
There you go.
We're going into game 1 of the Hamburglar Part 2 run. That's tonight for our lock of the day. They're going to play Calgary tonight. As I mentioned, Claude Giroux on a 6-game point streak. The Sens have won 5 of the last 7 against Calgary. Calgary's fighting for their playoff lives, if you will. Their power play is the bottom of the league, but their PK is really good. So, and my math is clearly wrong because 2-1-1 adds up to 4, and I have 2-1-1 in their last 5 games. So, I'm going to go with Bobby, who's now up to 500. He's over 500 with his win against Edmonton in the Super Bowl. He gets to pick first, and Yorkie's threat of the yellow helmet may be coming to an end. Bobby.
I like it. I got to start chasing it down. And I you know what? I do like the Sens in this game, even with the young goalie coming in and Sogaard, but I just can't do it. I'm going to take Calgary tonight. I like, and I'm not real sold on this pick, guys. I'm not overly sold, but I'm going to go ahead and say that they're going to win this one. The lineup's too young, too many guys missing. And this will take me to 10-8. So I'm going to be right there behind you soon, bud.
I know you had the switch too. Hey, you were going Sens, and you had the last minute switch to Edmonton on the weekend that saved you. Right at the deadline, you switched her over.
I know. I did. Yeah. I'm not overly sold about this pick, but I'm going to take Calgary.
Yeah. So I had the Calgary broadcast team over to my place last night for Super Bowl. So they'll be broadcasting guilty to today. So it was a late one. I don't know about the team though. What's the there'll be a guilty broadcast. A lot of vino was drank last night. This is a tough one because I was getting some insight on the Flames from the boys. They're giving me the lowdown on everybody. I guess Vladar's been pretty good. The thing I do like about Calgary, although this is big, Rasmus Anderson. How about that? The guy got pinged while on a scooter. He hasn't even practiced yet. Yeah. He's their best. Yeah, he hasn't been on the ice yet. He hasn't practiced. So they said it was actually more serious than people actually let it to be. He got dinged pretty good, but he'll eventually be back. But in saying that, I still like Calgary's defense. They got a lot of depth back there. So I think they'll be able to overcome that. I'm going to go with Calgary too. I think they're going to start winning some games here. They have to. Their playoff lives depend on it. I can see them winning a close one here. So I'll take Flames.
Well, Mackenzie Weegar was supposed to be on the Ottawa Senators in the summer. That didn't happen. He went to Calgary. They rebuilt the Calgary team. They have better goaltending. I'm going Mads Sogaard. I'm going to say he stands on his head because he's in one of those, just ride the momentum. Yeah. He gets the win tonight for Ottawa in a ugly win, but they will take it nonetheless.
You know what's going to be ugly?
You're doing so much for your street cred right now, Wally.
Beside your face. Imagine you're going to be 1-3 by this time tomorrow.
I know. I should have just stuck with you guys. I know. Damn it, but I have to. I think. Yeah, I got to try.
Okay, you could.
I got no issue with it. You never know.
Yeah. Both these teams are unpredictable right now. They're both unpredictable. The Flames have been inconsistent. Ottawa's been inconsistent. I think it's a pick 'em. I'm just taking Calgary because I don't know. I'm taking them because I don't know. It's a pick 'em. Flip a coin, but I'm taking Calgary.
Okay. All right. Okay, so time now to answer today's trivia question, which I asked, who has the most consecutive shots on goal without a goal? Now, I'll let you guys, if you want, one last chance to come up with, and there are typical names on there that you would expect, some older veterans as well, but let's see what you got. No, put that, Alex, hang on
a second. Did you not know it was you, Yorkie?
Jason,
I did throw.
Oh my god! You fired 181 pills at the net.
Oh, buddy! All right, listen. I was an analytics darling. I was good at hitting the net, just not putting it in. I had a feeling it could have been me.
Sorry, Jason York, 181 shots. I want to thank Ian Mendez for this, who sent it to me today, by the way. Eric Brannstrom next. Sean Hill seemed to have a lot of struggle scoring. He's on there twice in the top six. Mike Riley, which I have no recollection of him firing 108 shots, and Cody Ceci as well. It's an interesting poll. It did make me chuckle seeing it, that's for sure.
Well,
that was good. We needed that.
I did, Bobby. I fired 12 on net in one game and didn't score. So I figured.
I've done that. Yeah. Yeah. I heard your 182nd shot was going wide too, huh? Finally hit
I should go back and see if I can find the next goal and see what it is. It was 1999, by the way. When you that streak ran.
1999. I think I had. Oh boy!
So here's the Philip Kuba's 7th, Eric Gryba, Shane Knighty, Volchi, back-to-back. Chris Phillips, Jesse Winchester, Sammy Salo, Carl Rakunik, Matt Karkner in at 79, Sergei Gonchar 79 as well, Brad Shaw 79. Anyway, that's the top 18. So not that many forwards. Luckily, no Bobby Ryan. I did look.
Say, yeah.
No, did not make the top 20.
Brannstrom didn't even come close. Like, come on.
Your record is safe, Yorkie.
Yeah.
Most shots. What an awful record to
have. Hey, you want to be known for something. Everybody just wants to be known for something.
Oh, God. Yeah,
I should put one of my old.
I still have my ninth. You know what? I got an excuse. Next show, I'm going to bring up the stick. I have my stick I used in 1999. It is the biggest piece of shit you've ever seen in your life. My kids look at it and they're like, "How did you raise the puck with this?" It's a composite stick with a wood blade in it, and the curve is just awful. Yeah. It's like a little burger flipper, heel curve, terrible Sherwood blade, so stiff. No, zero flex, Bobby. It's a one. My 1999 stick's a 120 flex.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, well, no wonder you know about the cross checks, just standing there with the lumber and guys back.
Just hammer.
Little defenseman. Yeah, little defenseman.
In 1998-99 season, you had 4 goals, but you exploded the next year in 99-2000. Do you remember how many you had that year? Season high.
I think I had nice 8.
There you go. You had 8.
Yeah. That was good arbitration stat right there, Wally. lots of shots on goal. That was back then when you went to arbitration. You ever been to arbitration, Bobby? You ever go to Arb?
No. No, never.
When I was one of the first guys when they were using we were using block shots. Well, you had this many block shots, and you had this many shots on goal, and you had this many hits, and then it was they would use these stats, and they're like, well, how many points did he have? How many assists? Don't worry about that. It's all about block shots. No. It's all about hits. Yeah. It's all about hitting the net. Oh boy.
I cringe for guys when they go, because I'm like, I know that they're going in there just to light you up, right, from the other side of things. So I was glad to avoid that one.
Yorkie, there was someone from Ottawa, and I can't, if it was if it was Sean McEachran or someone like that who went to arbitration, and it bothered them because their whole job is to tell you how much you suck and why they don't want to give you money. Yeah. And he was really hurt by it. I'm sure it was Sean McEachran. Does that ring a bell?
I don't think it was Mac, but I'll tell you, I went, and mine actually wasn't that bad. Like, I had Marshall Johnston, and he was a really good, really nice man. And my Ian Pulveru, who was then the lead counsel for the NHLPA, he goes in and does all the arguing. And I'm like, wow, you're saying a lot of good stuff about me. And it was just blowing smoke and just saying all these numbers. Finally, Marshall Johnston bangs the table, and he goes, God damn it. He goes, yes, we like Jason York. He is a good player, but he's not fucking Bobby Orr. He goes, let's have some common sense here. And we all actually, everybody had a good chuckle after that, and it kind of cleared the tension of the room. Yeah, it was pretty funny when Marshall said that, and we ended up settling. The arbitrator just split it right down the middle, and then I went another time, and we settled right before we went into the room. But no, I've heard some horror stories about guys going in and they're like the team just grilling them. Like they come out of there saying, I don't know if I want to play here anymore. Like this team just cut me right down. And there's been some bad ones. Mine wasn't bad at all, but that was the line of the thing. He's not goddamn Bobby Orr. So,
I love Marshall Johnston. Right. Marshall Johnston never wanted to be GM.
No, he didn't. He didn't. No, he was so nice, Wally. You know Marshall at all, Bobby?
I never even heard the name.
Oh man, he used to bring guys into the office too because he would hear rumors about guys, and he once brought me and Andre Waugh and I forget who else into the office, and he's like, I've been hearing some things about you guys around town. And, well, what kind of things you been hearing, Marshall? Like, I'm hearing you guys have been in some places you shouldn't be in. And I'm like, well, where are these places? So he finally admitted that his wife was hearing these rumors from her hairdresser. about guys
Oh,
going
sure.
out to places, just small town stuff, eh? How word gets back, and I'm like, come on, like quit
Yeah.
listening to your wife's hairdresser, who's probably heard it from somebody else, who heard it from somebody else. But what you're right, though, Wally. What a nice man he was.
I'm tempted to bring him on
Yeah.
because he was the GM when Alexei Yashin held out and they suspended him.
Yeah.
And he didn't want any part of this. He was like, screw him. He can go back and play wherever, but until he fulfills this. But he was so reluctant to be GM, which I think was made him good. Like he built a really good team as a scout and then as a GM. I have all the respect.
Super good eye for talent. Like very good evaluator of pro talent. Like he was great.
Total meat and potatoes kind of guy. He was just an old school hockey. Anyway, I really like him. But speaking of, so just before we go, this date in hockey, you brought up Bobby Orr. In 1975, Bobby Orr became the first player in NHL history to reach 100 points in 6 consecutive seasons. Fascinating to me. And then the only one I could come up with an Ottawa kind of history, Marty Brodeur sets an NHL record by winning 30 games for his 12th consecutive season. Win number 30 comes in overtime victory against the Ottawa Senators in 2008. So neither one of you on the team, so you're forgiven.
All right, good. Good.
Perfect.
Coming up in the show tomorrow, Mike McKenna is coming by to talk about goaltending and where the Ottawa Senators stand, what they should do at the deadline, what's next for the Ottawa Senators. Plus, we'll get into some stories with him and Bobby as they played together briefly. Oh, also they played in Anaheim together, as you mentioned. So, story time. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Coming in hot, brought to you by Betano.ca. See you, boys.
See you guys.